runs along the edge of a cornfield. There's a hornbeam tree, several crabapple trees, a large stump overgrown with moss and ivy, some elderberry bushes, a splendid oak, and a clump of hawthorn. Brambles and honeysuckle, foxgloves, ferns, and wild roses grow alongside in a tangle of leaves and stems. The mice have their houses in the roots and trunks of the trees, and if you look very hard next time you're out walking in the country, you may be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of a small window, or through an open door, a steep flight of stairs. If you do, you'll know that you have found Brambly Hedge. Whatever the season, be it winter, spring, summer or autumn, there is always something to celebrate in Brambly Hedge. Everything the mice need for these special celebrations is stored in the store stump. They go to see Mr. Apple there to collect their supplies: flour, honey, jams, and jellies. Down in the cellar, Basil keeps his cordials, wines, and syrups. Birthdays, weddings, naming days, snowballs, and midwinter feasts all have their special menus and traditions. On the shortest day of the year, the mice celebrate midwinter. Mr. Apple and Dusty Dogwood head the procession as the midwinter log is pulled along the hedge to Old Oak Palace. Inside, the great hall is decorated with holly and ivy, garlands and ribbons. Basil brings all the ingredients for his special celebration punch. Wilfred and Primrose were asked to perform something for the guests, and they chose a midwinter poem. They went up to the attic to find a quiet room in which to practice, and to their delight found a box full of beautiful clothes. They decided to dress up and give everyone a surprise. As soon as they were ready, they scampered down the stairs to the party, hiding their costumes under their cloaks. The mice were gathered round the hearth, drinking punch and waiting for the ceremonial lighting of the log. Mr. Apple helped Mrs. Eyebright with the task, and everyone clapped as the log burst into flames and the entertainments began. Mr. Apple made huge shadows on the wall. Lord Woodmouse told a story of the olden days, and Dusty did some conjuring tricks. Now it was time for Wilfred and Primrose to recite their poem. They threw off their cloaks and began. When they got to the end, all the mice clapped and cheered and asked them to do it all over again. The party went on till late, and by the time Basil told one last story, the two little mice were fast asleep.
Why's Dusty taking so long to ask Poppy anyway?
Maybe he's worried that she'll say no.
But she won't, will she?
Of course not. Poppy's longing for him to ask. I'm sure of it.
How's Dusty supposed to know that? Isn't there a way to let him know how Poppy feels so he won't be afraid to ask her?
That's it, Wilfred. You're brilliant.
I know. Poppy?
Dusty.
I need to talk to you. In private.
It was early in June when Poppy Eyebright and Dusty Dogwood announced their engagement.
Friends, Dusty has something he would like to tell you all.
Poppy, excuse me. Poppy and I, Poppy and I are going to be married.
Everyone along the hedge gets involved when there's a wedding. Poppy and Dusty decided to marry on Midsummer's Day on a raft on the river. Primrose was asked to be a bridesmaid. Dusty's friend Conker would be his best man, and Wilfred, to his great delight, was asked to help build the raft. On the day of the wedding, the sky was blue and the sun was shining. Basil selected some of his best wines and put them to cool in the rushes. Everything was ready, and on the decorated raft, the wedding cake was put in the place of honor. Old Vole performed the ceremony.
Poppy Eyebright, do you love Dusty Dogwood, and will you love him and care for him forever and ever?
I will.
Dusty Dogwood, do you love Poppy Eyebright, and will you love her and care for her forever and ever?
I will.
Then in the name of the flowers and the fields, the stars in the sky, the streams that flow down to the sea, and the mystery that breathes wonder into all these things, I now pronounce you mouse and wife.
Dusty kissed the bride. Now it was time for the music, dancing and feasting to begin.
Can't have a wedding party without my meadow sweet wine.
I couldn't agree more, Basil.
Wilfred and Primrose had fun that day, and so did everyone else.
Aren't weddings fun?
It was plain to see that Poppy and Dusty were very much in love.
Oh, I do love you, Poppy.
As dusk fell and all the mice made their way home, Dusty and Poppy slipped away to a cottage in the Primrose Woods. It was the perfect place for a honeymoon. When a baby mouse is old enough to sit up, it's time for naming day. All the mice are invited to join the parents at dawn under the hawthorn trees. The baby mouse is carefully handed to Old Vole. As the first rays of the sun touch Brambly Hedge, Old Vole sprinkles the baby mouse's head with freshly gathered dew, and then recites, "The buds in the branches blossom and flower, the blackbirds sing in the leafy bower, and over the hill comes the rising sun to shine on the fields and on you, little one." Now the baby mouse is given its name, and all the mice drink its health with Basil's special fruit cordial. One year, in the middle of winter, the mice woke to find the fields covered in a thick white blanket of snow.
What do you think? Is the snow deep enough for a snowball?
Shush, everyone. Mr. Apple's going to speak.
When the snows are lying deep, when the field has gone to sleep, when the blackthorn turns to white, and frosty stars bejewel the night, when summer streams have turned to ice, a snowball warms the heart of mice. Friends, I declare that a snowball will take place tonight in the ice hall.
A snowball is a rare and exciting event that can only take place when there is a really heavy fall of snow. The snow has to reach right up to the third notch on Old Oak Palace. Only then will it be deep enough for the mice to hollow out an ice hall. Dressed in their best clothes, the mice gaze proudly at the magnificent hall that they have created, with its sparkling ice columns and sculptures and polished ice dance floor.
Supper is served. Come along, everybody. Wow, this is wonderful. What a feast.
Oh, I don't know. Pass the blackberry sword.
It's not as good as mine would have been, but it'll do.
Your snowball meringues are exquisite.
Thank you. My mother's recipe.
The dancing and feasting continued late into the night.
It's today. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
What's going on?
It's my birthday!
Happy birthday, Wilfred. Happy birthday, Wilfred.
When Wilfred had his birthday, the mice planned a surprise picnic for him. The news spread quickly along the hedge. Old Mrs. Eyebright said she would fetch some preserves. Basil supplied fruit cordial. And the weavers offered to bring the tablecloths. Poppy Eyebright promised cheeses from the dairy. Mrs. Apple made special primrose puddings. And Dusty brought a batch of freshly baked buns.
Now!
Surprise!
Everyone managed to keep the secret until Wilfred opened the hamper and found his cake and all his presents.
I didn't know this was a birthday picnic, so I didn't bring a present.
But you already gave me a present, Basil. A whistle lesson, remember?
How could I forget? Shall we?
Oh, happy birthday, Wilfred.
Oh, yes! The cake!
Go on, Wilfred.
Blow out the candle.
Well now, time to cut the cake.
Thank everyone, Wilfred.
Oh, yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for my lovely presents.
So remember, if you do come across Brambly Hedge when you're out walking, don't tell anyone where it is, will you? The mice are very shy and would not want to be disturbed.